So we are here with group Midnight21. We're doing their group post-mortem review for the Synoptic project. I'm just going to pass straight over to team lead Dina. If you can give us a synopsis of what your project idea was.
Our game is about as a thief entering a museum whose mission isn't to steal the treasured artifacts, but in fact to steal the fame for the discovery of said artifacts. Our thief is very stealthy and cunning, willing to travel to the past using the power of your magical camera to steal the credit of discovering and photographing these ancient treasures, which is the game genre was mainly a stealth puzzle game where we'd go around different levels and be able to like sneak around enemies and collect these artifacts to basically make into a journal of some newspaper about it.
Cool. In terms of main sort of features or mechanics that your game was going to include, what did that look like?
What was it?
So you mentioned a camera.
Yeah. The main focus of the gameplay is basically going around the different levels and taking pictures of the artifacts to basically have a journal about the different artifacts you collected to showcase it later on to the game. But using that magic camera, you could also go from the museum, where the player would start, to then go to the past, to the different time eras, and depending on the different time eras, they would be able to get like different artifacts that they could use, like different pictures of the artifacts as evidence that they completed the level.
So it was all about rewriting history in a sense.
Yes.
For the benefit of the main character. Cool. Right. Kicking things off, before we even began Synoptic Project, everything started with that role application phase. This is the point in time where you guys were sort of fighting for a role amongst your classmates and trying to make sure that you were able to secure the role that you wanted before you were all placed into your teams. I'd just like a bit of input from everyone, one at a time, just to sort of tell me whether or not you were happy with the role that you initially applied for, whether maybe you were disappointed because you got given a different role, and whether or not your role stayed the same throughout the project. Let's go with Ethan first.
I originally applied for programming, which I got. However, within the project, I did kind of turn into a level designer overall, as I designed the main pyramid level.
How did you find that experience sort of shifting from programmer to level designer, or like managing both?
I would say I was able to somewhat effectively time manage between the two, with most of the levels being similar in like design, so it was quite easy to just copy and paste certain parts to save time, while also being able to implement the different programming aspects that I made.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Would you say there was any challenges that came with being multidisciplinary?
Just really attempting to manage time and make sure that I was allocating the correct amount of time between designing the level and programming in the different mechanics and placing them within the level.
Good. Would you say that you managed to tackle that or handle that well?
I would say I was able to manage it quite competently, but not to the best of my ability, I would say.
Okay, that's fair. Tom, how about you?
So I applied for visual effects and sound effects artist. As someone who does sound effects outside of college, I thought this was like a good thing to choose. And as college has gone on, like over the 2 years, I've enjoyed doing visual effects, so that's why I chose that. But also being put onto level design, like without not without a choice, but with like just like I didn't really choose it, but I got put onto it to see how I would like manage it. I didn't manage it in the best way, but I did do stuff for the museum in terms of level design, but me and Ethan like kind of shared it of sorts.
Cool. How did you say you found that instance of, again, like applying for one role but having to handle another role?
It was quite difficult as someone who was like 50-50 on the whole level design stuff. I wasn't great at it, but I wasn't awful at it, so I thought it would be something that I could take on to try, and in some instances it went okay.
Yeah. Do you think that your technical ability, your knowledge, or your skill set overall has developed as a result of taking on board that additional role?
Yeah. In terms of like game layouts and knowing where to knowing what works best when placing things, what will work better for the game, I'm sure it's like I've came out better after the project.
Cool. Chris. I think you might be muted still. Yep, I can hear you through someone's mic. But
I think I studied 3D modeler throughout the entire project, but I did do like a little bit of animation for the character and guards, and I think I also had to rig them as well, which I did not find too hard, to be honest.
Cool. And again, same sort of thing for you then. How did you see any sort of value in becoming multidisciplinary? Did that allow you to sort of provide more for the team?
Yeah.
In what sense? Can you elaborate? If you'd stayed just as a 3D artist, what impact might that have had on the team had you not taken on board another role?
I probably wouldn't have any custom animations for the assets, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And are you sort of happy with the fact that you were able to, pick up a new skill?
Yeah.
Good. Anna, tell me about your role application.
I applied for 3D modeler for my role application, and I've got this role in a synoptic project as well. Through the project, my role was mostly consistent on only 3D. Also some texturing and UI design. I mean UV texturing. Sorry. Yeah, but it mostly was consistent, and it helped me to focus on my 3D skills basically.
Yeah, because your role stayed quite consistent, and I'm not going to say one-dimensional because 3D is very multifaceted with texturing and wrapping and the rest of it and modeling. But do you maybe wish that you'd explored other roles a little bit within the project, or are you really, really happy that you got the ability to stay within your lane, if that makes sense?
I'm mostly happy with my role, but I also would like to explore some other roles because I'm also interested a little bit in programming, and if I would have more time for my models and other stuff, I would try other help me program or do other stuff as well.
Cool. Dina, tell me about yours, because your role, you've got a couple of roles first and foremost, and this was a first for you in a sense with one of those roles. So tell me a bit about your role application experience and then how that related to Synoptic Project.
My role application was mainly about animatics and such. That's how I applied, was to get a concept out of and somewhat of an animation to showcase a story, and it just developed into a concept artist role to make concept art of the characters and everything else. It kind of stayed the same, as well as I did end up making a beginning intro sequence to showcase how the thing would look like if we had time to make a intro
project.
for the game. Yeah.
How did that role actualize itself in the project? Because your role changed at the very, very beginning because you got an additional role.
It was a surprise, but I tried my best to adapt it, even though it was chaotic. I mainly focused. I've done a bit of concept art at the beginning, but for the rest of the project, after pre-production and alpha, I focused mainly on being a team lead and trying to keep everything intact, basically. And I hope to get like everything in the game like as playable as it can get from all the other people in the team.
How can you summarize your experience as a team lead for these guys?
It was a very good experience, honestly. Everyone was willing to cooperate. Everyone was able to help each other whenever they can. If there was a problem, they could come to me and talk to me about it. If there was like something they missed, I was able to tell them what happened and all. Throughout the whole time, whenever there's an issue that came by, we all worked together to fix the issue and couldn't basically push forward.
Nice. And then just on this topic of team lead, with Dina saying how awesome of teammates you guys were, how did you guys feel about Dina being team lead?
I feel like Dina effectively got us like to work together as a team and was able to keep morale high as a team, as well as allowing us to work at our full capability without causing like too many disruptions, asking us about how like different parts are going.
Yeah, in terms of like meetings and communication, Dina did that really well. She was able to get the team like together and able to talk amongst each other, which was really good. Like make everyone comfortable together, even in like early stages. So yeah.
Anna, Chris, any input?
Yeah, and every time like we had any constraints or problems, I always will help every member of our team and sort it out.
Chris?
I don't have anything else to say.
A man of few words. One thing that I particularly liked about your style of leadership, Dina, was that you were a little bit behind the scenes as a team leader. And I think from a production point of view, this is maybe what production roles like from management. Not to feel like someone's over their shoulder the entire time, micromanaging and man managing, but putting a lot of trust and faith in their teammates to complete things that you've specified need to be completed. I did also particularly like the fact that I think your team's maybe one of the most individual teams with different personalities, different people that I don't think any of you really would communicate outside of the Synaptic project if you were given the chance. This was very much a team of individuals that you brought together quite nicely in a very quick, easy, and fun way by doing the little doodles, the little caricatures that you did. I think that was a nice little touch that broke the ice and allowed for you guys to sort of actually come together as a team. Not a lot of other teams did that. And I think it just worked quite nicely for you. Moving forward, I think, Tom, you touched on something quite nice, a nice little topic. I wouldn't have normally approached this till a little bit later, but I don't mind bringing it up now. That other topic is communication. So I just want, again, a bit of open floor input. Anyone can chime in. How do you guys feel like you guys communicated and handled communication and collaboration in the beginning of the project compared to the end stages of the project? Did that communication develop over time? Did it deteriorate? Was there any sort of hurdles with communication, or was it very, very streamlined and effective?
I mean, obviously, I think everyone on the team can agree we had a little hiccup like not long ago, but
Yeah.
obviously stuff like that makes like it's a lesson kind of, and from that we learned to communicate better, even though our communication was already good as a team, like you mentioned, Josh, which is true. Like before the project, none of us really like spoke to each other much, but straight away we were able to like communicate well and like hit off straight away. And I think communication was like good throughout the entire project.
Anyone want to add on to what Tom's built in there?
Communication wise, we did a good job, but mostly we focused on making sure that like anything that's small and that didn't need immediate attention, we would text through Teams. And whenever there's like any changes, we made sure that everyone knew that they made the changes, which was like really good as a team. That we kept each other on an update, as well as like showcasing what we did, as well as like making sure that everyone was on board with the ideas. We did even if we didn't do much face-to-face communication, it was still a good communication, even if it wasn't much to add on to many other things we worked on.
Any other input?
Just quickly as well, even like a plus with our team as well was that our communication didn't only come through meetings. Like Dina said, if it was anything that we finished, we put it in the group. So we didn't just communicate through meetings. We had like throughout the project, just like chiming in here and there, just to make sure everyone's on the same wavelength, which
Like
was good.
Update pings when something was completed.
Yeah.
And that was like a notification for like a new task to be assigned or something. It was more like a notification system as opposed to like a check-in system, if that makes sense. Cool, I like that. That's good. Chris, give me your thoughts on communication throughout the project. It was good.
Yeah.
Build off of it, because I've got a bone to pick with you, and you're probably aware as to what it already is. But I want to know your side of things. How do you feel like communication was handled throughout the project?
It was handled pretty well. Like, I think most of the time I knew what to do.
And how was that the case? How were you always aware of like what you had to do? Because the bone I've got to pick with you, the issue that I'm gonna bring up and discuss, and let the other guys sort of have their input as well, is obviously down to attendance. Communication struggles to occur when attendance struggles to occur. They kind of go hand in hand, especially when you're doing a lot of face-to-face communication, which your team were doing a lot of. So you're saying communication was good, which is fine. Maybe you felt that way. But can you elaborate on why you felt communication was good despite frequent attendance issues?
To compensate for my attendance issues, I just ask in chat what do I need to do, and I just get told and I do the work.
Was there any sort of documents or resources that you could rely on as a means of non-verbal communication?
Not really, actually.
So meeting logs, Trello, Miro, those sort of things, were they, utilized by the team?
Didn't really use Trello that much, I think.
If Chris is incorrect, feel free to correct him. It's completely fine.
Well, he is looking at the meeting logs right now, so we definitely had meeting logs.
Cool. So let's get some input from the other guys then, because that to me, as your client, sort of stood out as one of the barriers to you guys succeeding or succeeding more with the project. Because I think you guys did a pretty good job given the circumstances. How did you guys sort of feel about the attendance concerns? It wasn't always a case of Chris was the only one missing. There was a couple of days where other people were missing as well. Anna, you were on and off at some times. Like Ethan, maybe you missed a lesson here and there. Potentially Dina as well. But across the team, there was a couple of flaky moments, shall we say, which could jeopardize a project. Like I said, I think you guys handled it fairly well. But how did you guys feel in those moments? Dina, I want to come to you because obviously as team lead, a lot of pressure's on your shoulder with this, with obviously the success of the project. How did you feel? Positive, negative, nervous?
I honestly, for that whole time, whenever there's someone who didn't come, that came late or didn't attend, I didn't have much of an issue, as most of the work that I asked or were thinking on working on for like the other teammates have already been worked on, or they're like really nearly finished, and that I don't really. I wasn't stressed about it because there is some times where, of course, things happened, of course, and it's not much of a problem with me. As long as the work is done, I'm not as iffy with it, because in the end we get it done, and I'm very happy about it.
Good. Anyone else want to chime in? No? Okay, that's completely fine. That's more of a me concern anyway, but it's nice to get input from you guys at the same time and pinpoint, these things do factor into a project. So moving forward with our questioning. We've talked about role application and obviously communication at the beginning of the project. Towards the beginning of the project, the first sort of point of contact that you guys had with each other was during the group pitch phase. Prior to that, you guys had gone through solo pitches. You've been given the brief, you've been given the theme, and you had an attempt on your own to sort of come up with a cool, unique, original idea. And then in your teams, had the ability to utilize those ideas and build on them, or to establish as a team a brand new idea. How do you guys feel like you communicated, but how do you guys feel like you came together to form the basis of what your idea was? Do you guys think you did a good job? Did you plan it out well? Did you utilize the pre-production period to fully flesh it out? Or, looking back on things retrospectively, are there things that you would change about the idea?
One thing we did as a team in terms of the group pitch was gathering everyone's solo pitch together and picking out ideas that we all thought were good from each other's solo pitch and putting them into the group pitch. So we all had things that we were working on solo wise, but also just things that we could all enjoy together. So the game could come together as something that we could all enjoy making, and I think that was a good thing for the team, letting everyone have something in it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. Rather than sort of establishing a brand new idea, you sort of wanted to make sure that everyone was invested in the project by containing a bit of their own solo idea. Is that kind of what we're getting at?
Yeah.
Cool. Ethan, what were your thoughts on the group project, the group pitch phase, and even the pre-production phase? Do you guys think that you did a good job of fleshing out this idea?
I felt as we did flesh it out quite well with the inclusion of everyone's ideas. However, I do feel that we had a little bit too big of a scale at the start, which we did iron out after the alpha phase. But at the start, it was a little bit of a big scale with some of the mechanics or the full idea itself.
So you sort of identified scope, over-scoping at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
And can you pinpoint maybe why you think you guys overscoped?
Later realizing when we were creating some of the assets or mechanics, we realized that the level would feel a bit too overwhelming if they were all within the level, and it would be a bit confusing for the player to understand what to do.
Mm-hmm. And do you also just think from a very sort of logistical point of view, time management, did you factor in early on that you don't have all the time in the world to create the ideal thing that you want to initially create?
Not really.
Or did you overlook time?
We sort of overlooked it, but we were able to get the assets made. It's just that after we made them, we realized that the scope was too big and we would have to trim off certain parts to fit the perfect scope.
Good. Anna, what do you think? What were your thoughts and feelings on the group pitch concept for the game?
It also was quite good, and it was unique because we picked up each other's ideas and made the new one, the unique one. By getting a scope, I agree, because we didn't actually rely on time. We had to do this project. We just were trying to make the game engaging, and we didn't think about how it's gonna actually work out during the production. But in case of 3D modeling, because I did this part, yeah, we had a really big, I think levels and plans for our levels, because when I actually started creating 3D assets, I realized that I can't do everything that we planned at the beginning.
So there's a lot of, again, that you sort of clocked there that time is going to be a problem.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
needed to cut off our asset list, and we haven't done everything we planned.
And prioritize.
Yeah.
Good. Dina, as team lead, were you sort of content with the idea? Were you content with everyone's contributions? How are you feeling looking forward into the project?
I was really happy with the idea. Of course, we got too ambitious. Like everyone has said, we got too much of a big scope. But throughout the time when we were doing the production phases for the different sections of the game, we of course slowly but surely took out some things that were too like hard for us to do it on time, and making sure that the game was what we wanted to see without fear of having an unfinished game because of the scope being too big. I was very happy with the idea, anyways. Even if it's like not the full like vision of what we wanted to show for the game, but it's something, and I'm
version.
very happy with it. Yeah, it's a version of it, and I'm happy about it.
You're happy how the idea iterated over time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
And it still felt like the original idea, even though it changed?
Yes.
Cool. Right, moving forward, we've sort of established what the idea was, the concept, how the team came together and collaborated on forming the base of this idea. We're now going to sort of waltz our way through production. We're going to sort of gloss over alpha, beta, and gold. And outlining that alpha was obviously the period of time where we requested you guys to make a functional demo. We didn't care for visuals at this point. We wanted something functional. We wanted prototypes. We wanted working systems. We wanted the very, very foundation of the environment. We didn't care for the beauty of the demo. We just wanted something that played in a very basic, primitive way what the game would roughly play like. And that led through into beta, where we gave you then the opportunity to decorate it, take that prototype, take that functional working version of the game, and fixate on the visuals. When that came to a close, that allowed us entry into the gold standard stage, where it was a case of taking on lots of feedback from external perspectives and polishing that project into something more refined. Rather than adding new content, it was refining what was there. Can you guys sort of give me a bit of insight towards, were you happy with the level of work you contributed throughout each stage? Can you identify maybe where you as an individual felt the most productive and did the most work, as well as outlining outlining any of the potential hurdles, obstacles, or barriers you encountered and sort of had to resolve? I know it's a lot of information there. If you need me to repeat anything, feel free. But basically, run me through what production was like for you, where you excelled, and maybe where you struggled the most. Let's go to Anna.
Yeah. So I think the most of the work from each of us were done in the beginning, because we were so inspired after creating our idea, and we wanted to actually done it. But as the longer we were making it, the more tired we were of this project, because because even if you really like your job, you're gonna burn out if you do it too much.
Yeah.
And I think this was happening to most of the teams. But yeah, at the beginning, each of us were doing really well, I think. But by the end, we just needed maybe to push a little bit more,
Yeah.
especially in beta phase.
Where do you think you were the most productive, or maybe what do you think was the biggest challenge for you?
I think the biggest challenge was to making assets in the beginning, even though it was like the time when I was the most fresh at the project, because we needed just to block out, but it took me, I think, too fast to make some assets, and I didn't know just to do what to do next, and I was just trying to make assets more like pretty, and I think I just needed to actually focus on making more, but more blocking outs.
Yeah. So your
And
challenge
just
there was simplifying the assets rather than being a perfectionist, which we all like to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end, it was a bit faster because I actually decided to not think about details too much and make the assets just how it is.
Cool. Right, let's go, Chris. Another artist on the team. Where do you think you were the most productive? Where do you think your biggest challenge was?
I think I was the most productive doing gold standards because I had to texture like 2 of my models, but I also had to put them into Unreal to see how they looked and if they worked. And then I also had to rig characters, which is not really something I'm very experienced in, so it took me like 5 days. Then I also had to figure out how to apply the animations to characters in Unreal, which actually took less time for some reason. I think the biggest challenge was I don't even know if there was a challenge.
Was everything super easy for you?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're a god game developer. That's all you're trying to say. I know where your biggest challenge was. I can tell you right now if you like.
That was
Guys,
a challenge for the team.
What do you think Chris's biggest challenge was, guys?
Maybe the attendance.
Yeah, getting in on time.
Possibly.
Possibly the attendance.
Good. But think from a technical perspective, Chris, or even maybe even don't think from a technical perspective. Think maybe on a soft skills basis. Maybe what was something difficult or challenging for you? Because if the project was a breeze, we wouldn't have had any delays. There'd be no content cut. Then it'd be the most polished thing in the world, and that's not the case. But that's fine because we don't expect a super duper refined project at this stage, especially for this level of student as well. Not that I'm not saying that you guys have done a bad project, by the way, at all. I'm really happy with your project actually. But there's got to be something along the way that maybe took you longer than expected, that was more challenging, that was a bit more rigorous, or it took more time or energy.
I think we're just getting the textures into Unreal because they really don't appear the same when you put them into Unreal compared to looking at them in Substance Painter.
Okay, so verifying the artwork or the quality of artwork between software. Cool. Tom, tell me about give me your take.
What on
Production
strengths? Okay, yeah.
Could be strengths, weaknesses.
I started off with sound design. After we came up with ideas, I thought using these ideas to make some like background music, because like the idea was fresh in my head. I knew what kind of thing I wanted it to sound like, what it'll like, and how it'll fit together with it. So I started with that, and then I'd say my strongest part was beta, when I started doing a bit of level design for the museum while making the Foley and sound design and menu music, museum like background music, and pyramid background music, because I think it was this part where it was starting to bring things to life in the game.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's where function meets form, right? You've got that working prototype demo that's like a skeleton without the skin, without the flesh, and then the beta stage was that ability for you to make it look the way you wanted to and make it fit, make the form fit the functions, and provide that level of immersion, especially when you're touching on things like VFX and SFX. That's very much what those things exist for. It's to improve that experience or that believability or that immersion. What would you say your biggest challenge was, maybe?
I'd say the level design part of it, like laying out a obviously being given the assets, like the models, but then like where to put them and like how to lay it out for the museum. I was able to come over it in the end, but it took some time.
To do things intuitively, because surely anyone can throw things into a level for set dressing, but are you sort of saying like to make things sort of feel thematic and believable? Yeah.
Making it like when you're playing, just make it feel better instead of it just being a blank room or just like like just a box.
A square room,
yeah, just giving it like a bit of character.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Would you say you learned anything new from a level design perspective, or even from a VFX perspective? Because I know at some point in the project you started working on cinematics.
Yeah, the cutscenes. That was definitely something I learned, and using the camera in Unreal and level sequences to like create like just have something in between mechanics and have like a cutscene. That was something I learned, and the level design stuff, just learning how to get better at it, I guess.
Good. Back to you then, Dina. Maybe what was the biggest challenge you experienced, and maybe where do you feel you were most productive?
Honestly, the most productive I've been for this, like the whole thing, was definitely like the beginning, of course, because it was the concept phase and getting the ideas out, drawn out, and everything. Everything else, honestly, I felt like I haven't put much effort as everyone else has, but it was just mostly me being behind the scenes and making sure that anything that needed to be done, like art-wise, for example, for like textures and such, I would be able to help during that time. Other than that, that's my biggest challenge, was probably not being able to put much other effort other in but gold beta and gold standard.
Do you feel like
Since
maybe you didn't have much to offer in those stages, and that's maybe why you were less productive?
yeah, I
And is
didn't
that
have
due
much
to
to offer.
the nature of the role that you'd chosen with a concept artist?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's mostly just to help out. If there was like, I was mostly to be there if anything, if anyone needed that a bit of extra help, I was able to help them
Good.
if they asked for it.
And would you guys say that Dina did a good job in like fulfilling that support role as team lead?
Yeah, she kept the morale high for the whole team. So yeah.
Awesome. Right, we're gonna revisit the gold standard stage. We've probably talked a fair bit there between ourselves amongst alpha and beta, probably where you guys felt the most productive. Either alpha because it was the beginning of production, where you guys have got a lot of excitement and you want to start making things, or maybe in beta because that was where you got to flesh out um, more of the actual concept. Gold standard's obviously a little bit of a different production stage because it was more about polishing than adding anything new. With the state of the project as it is in gold standard, what are your guys' thoughts on the final product? Are you guys happy with what you've achieved? Do you think you've created what you initially set out to create, or has the idea changed from maybe what you initially pitched?
I'm pretty pleased with it. Everyone did an amazing job to get the game to life as much as we could. Everyone added their own things to make it pop out more. Everything looks pretty well made of in even if it looks a bit awful to look at every now and again. But I really like the whole concept that's fully brought out to life. And even if there's like still some issues that we keep running into, but we're still trying to like polish it out.
Ethan, do you want to give me some input?
I feel like the project is quite similar to what we originally thought of, other than the parts that had to be removed for scope. But other than that, the project stayed quite close to what we had hoped it would look like and how it would turn out, with the different stealth aspects and the art style in itself. Though we did have some smaller additions, such as the pixelation effect that Dina and I made.
I think just to add on to Ethan's part, I think obviously we had to cut some stuff from the scope, but we were able to get the things that we wanted into the game. So I think it went well.
You say that you compromised well in terms of prioritizing.
Yeah, we prioritised certain things ahead in the scope, and we were able to complete them. And I think we're all happy with what we were able to get done.
Yep. Is anyone particularly like sad about the fact that you didn't get around to including any aspect of the project? Maybe not sad, but disappointed. Maybe.
No, not really.
Okay, that's fine. If that's the case, that's the case. It's just it's a very open question. Looking back on the current state of the project in Gold, would you change anything about the idea? Based on how it currently performs, currently plays, bear in mind all the cuts that you guys made, all the things that you trimmed off, and the changes that you implemented, or the workarounds and solutions. Is there anything that you would change about the idea with having more time? And even bearing in mind any feedback that you had from QAs or external industry.
Other than the idea that if we had our scope small enough from the beginning and get the idea out more fleshed out with like the time we had, other than that, the idea I'm pretty pleased about. The main idea of what the game is supposed to be, I'm really pleased about. If we had enough time, we probably would have been able to like showcase the whole lot other things that we wanted to show for the game, but of course we were too ambitious, as I've said, and we got the scope a bit too big to what we liked, and we weren't able to show much else to it.
Just worth noting there as well, like I'd very much dislike the phrase "we were too ambitious," because I think with any project, a project is never really anything without ambition.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys had really, really high hopes at the beginning of the project indicates like you were really, really content with the idea and really positive about your ability and your approach. So I think that's worth noting and bearing in mind as well. Was there any sort of feedback, whether it's from QA testing that you guys ran or from client feedback calls that were ran? Is there any particular feedback that stood out to you guys from your project?
It was during the QA testing after I don't know if it was gold standard or if it was beta. We had a lot of people in the feedback forms talking about the camera, which we've added the animations to the character now, but obviously we were able to overcome that hurdle after getting our feedback from that.
So would it be safe to say that it was you saw value in conducting testing and acquiring feedback on a regular basis?
Yeah, getting back the feedback meant we knew where to focus on next and like what we could complete, just so for next time, for any testing after that, that problem's fixed.
Awesome. Right, and then we'll wrap things up with everyone's take on what their biggest lesson from engaging in an industry scale or industry-esque project is like. What's by completing this project, by engaging with it and completing it to the best of your ability, what will you take forward into your next project?
I'll say for me, I was very content with how the aspects that I was able to produce and collaborate with other people came out, such as the art style through the pixelation effect, or how the textures were in allowing the environment to look how it is. And for the biggest lesson, I would say that I would need to research more when knowing what I need to create and what I will most likely have to create, because I feel like I was asking quite a lot of Rob for help with my programming at times. So I feel that extra research will help me lessen how much I'm asking other people for help rather than knowing my own knowledge.
Absolutely, it's definitely worthwhile pinpointing that. You guys still have a ways to go in terms of like learning your craft, and you're never going to be expected to learn everything. People in industry don't know everything and still have to go out of their way. So, absolutely a huge lesson there to sort of stress is that your learning never stops, and there's always something new that you guys can pick up. So, being willing to go out of your way to do that is very, very helpful, and very much a case of planning out the idea well enough to understand your technical capabilities from the beginning is going to help with handling that concern of time needed to go and learn something new. Absolutely. Chris, what's the biggest lesson that you learned from this project? What's the biggest thing you've taken away? Well, let him think. We'll come back.
I can always go while he's
Yeah, go, Tom.
thinking.
Go for it.
I think my biggest lesson came from a team perspective, like not being scared to put ideas into the team, especially with this one because we're all open to ideas. But going into industry, I think you want to if you put in a team, you want to be comfortable with them and like giving ideas, communicating. I think that was something that was learned on my part.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, like in industry, you're never going to be working with people that you know a lot of the time. You're going to be starting in a brand new environment a lot of the time with people that you've never met or spoken to. So, people skills are essential. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable, if that makes sense, is a skill that you need to acquire or be mindful of. Definitely, and it ultimately ties down to communication. You can't communicate properly if you're not putting yourself in a position to communicate. Good. That comes with, again, like stepping out your comfort zone and being willing to break the ice with people, because at the end of the day, you're all in the same situation, and you're all working towards the same goal. So you're all on the same team, and no one's going to bite, but someone has to make the first move. So the sooner that that barrier and that hurdle's crossed, the quicker you guys get to, streamline things and figure out how everyone works together. But yeah, absolutely, communication, teamwork, people skills, those are all great little lessons to take away. Anna, let's get yours.
Yeah, I think my biggest lesson from this project is you need to like analyze your actual skills at current moment, and I think don't overthink of something. Like don't put too much on you, and know what you actually can complete by the deadline. Yeah, and also the communication between different roles and how different roles contribute with each other. I think it's very important when you're going to go to the industry.
Yep. Did you often find yourself throughout the project communicating and collaborating with your team?
Yeah, I often collaborate with concept artists and programmer, especially in beta and like gold standard.
Yep, absolutely. Collaboration is ultimately how games are made. Yeah, no one person will make an entire game, and if they do, they're a god. But it'll take them a good long time to do so. To make a good game anyway. So collaboration is essential, and that obviously has a very, very close hand with communication and teamwork skills. So yeah, good little lesson to take away there, absolutely. Chris, have you got an idea from you now? Have you got a lesson you've learned? You've learned about the importance of...
I learned about the importance of communication.
Good. In what sense? How does that relate to you? Where is that lesson coming from? Why do you think communication is important or essential?
Because many of the times it left me confused.
So by improving that, what impact might that have on you or your team?
Keeps everybody on track.
So it's going to have a more positive long-term effect, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. And then communication can only happen if attendance is better. I'm going to keep coming back to that one because it's quite a prevalent one, and it's a very, very important life lesson that you need to pick up. Dina, we're going to close things off by coming back to you as team lead. What was the biggest thing that you have learned from this project?
It's definitely being a team lead. It was something that I wasn't really confident about in the beginning, but then after some time, I was able to be able to help as much as I could, even if I made sure that everyone was comfortable and everything. I was It was something that I learned to, if I want to make sure that everyone does a good job, is to basically let them do what they're good at. What I need to probably focus on in the future is, if there's a team that's a bit stubborn, is probably make sure that they do that work that need to be done. But other than that, with this team, I didn't have to do that. So I was pretty pleased with how many of the people who here were able to do their own job, their own time, their own pace, but able to do it in the time frame that we needed to have. But even then, I it was a very new experience for me in general as a team lead.
So would you say it's to sort of wrap that up? It's you've learned what it actually means to be a team leader as opposed to just being called a team leader.
Yes.
And would you say that your initial understanding of what being a team lead meant, or what being a producer meant, in comparison to the actual experience, is maybe changed or developed?
I would say so, yeah.
What do you think the biggest difference is then? Like, what was the biggest sort of shock about being a team lead?
I'm not sure myself, but probably the fact that many of my team were able to work with me throughout the project. That was a shock to me, probably, because didn't have much high hopes for myself as a team lead.
So you obviously see the importance of confidence. Being a team lead sort of demands a level of confidence because you have to carry that confidence over to other people as well.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Good. So on that note, be more confident with yourself because your team have that confidence in you based on the input we've had in this meeting today. So being able to identify that skill set yourself is obviously going to carry a lot of weight and translate to your team and can be conveyed to your team as well. And leading by example is a good little thing to know as team lead. If you're saying one thing but doing another, it's going to cause confusion. So making sure that you abide by the rules that you implement, as well as expect that from the team, is really, really core as well. Cool. On that note, we're going to wrap things up. This has been a nice, pleasant team meeting. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to input, add anything extra in here if you want to sort of address anything, if you want to, be positive, be negative if you really want to. If you want to just sort of add any final input before we close things off, now is your chance.
Pretty pleased with this.
I'll begin the rounding off by just sort of saying that you guys should be really, really happy with what you've achieved. It's no easy achievement to create a game, especially within 5 to 6 months, arguably maybe a little bit closer to 4 from an actual production point of view. You guys have done a really good job, especially given the circumstances, with some people not necessarily getting their ideal role, attendance not always being perfect, a lot of technical issues from a GitHub perspective as well. It's not been an easy road, but it's given you an indication as to what game development is actually like in the real world. I think you can all walk away from this quite happy with what you've contributed. I think you've all gained an immense level of understanding from start to finish with understanding, how much work actually goes into creating games. But you've all shown a lot of grit to sort of deal with the issues, tackle things head on, and still come out of the project quite positive. So pat yourselves on the back and put a smile on your face because it's a job well done at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Any other input?
Thank you, Josh. And thank you, team.
There we go. That's a little bit.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, you are all amazing.
Oh, it's been surreal.
I might be shedding a tear. Who knows? No, well done, guys. Good job.